We're going to come down here to Facebook. We're going to go live on Facebook, and we'll go live on LinkedIn. Hello, everyone joining us on LinkedIn. And we will also go live over here on WaveTalkers. So we should be live on all of the platforms now at this point. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. My name's Chris Mattia. My call sign is W6AH. I'm joined by two of my esteemed colleagues today, David KK6DA, Dan NR6V, and David W0DSG is out on assignment, although he may be joining us at some point. He may just pop in to the session, so we'll keep an eye out for him. Today, we are going to be talking about getting you up and running with Winlink, and this is going to basically take those first couple of weeks of the WaveTalkers live that we did, where we were doing the class, getting you up and running on Winlink, and we're going to compress that down. So today, what we're going to step through doing is taking a brand new Windows PC, and we're going to get Winlink, and we're going to get SoundModem, and we're going to get Vara FM all installed, configured, all up and running, and hopefully at the end of the session we will be able to send all emails through all those different modes. And you may be wondering, since we've been doing this for a while, why would we go all the way back to the beginning? Well, two reasons. One, we've got a lot of people who are new to Winlink, and we want to make sure we can get them up and running very quickly. We've gotten a lot of requests from different emergency communicators and different groups saying, hey, can you do just a really quick kind of run through of all of this? So we're going to do that. And the other reason, for those of us who have been doing this for a while, sometimes we need to set up a new system. And this actually just happened to me. My main PC just died, and I had to completely reset up a new system completely from scratch. And so I found myself going back and looking through all the different movies and settings and trying to figure out, like, okay, how was it that we did this? And so we're gonna do that all today live for you. So with that, I'm going to get started because we've got a lot of stuff to cover. And the first thing that I want to kind of go into is we're going to have a special event station for the Baker to Vegas 2022 race. WaveTalkers just got approved to host a HF portable Winlink gateway. We're going to be running on 80, 40, 20, and 17 meters. There's going to be a lot of information. We're going to encourage folks to check in throughout the race. We're going to start a couple of days before the race. We're going to have the gateway up and running for about 4 days. And we're going to have a lot more details that are going to be posted on wavetalkers.com/b2v.php. There's just got approved. It got approved by the comms lead for Baker to Vegas.
It's a huge relay race.
Yeah,
it's literally thousands and thousands of people come to the desert. It's the valley just beside Death Valley, so you know what it looks like. It's actually beautiful. But thousands and thousands of people, all of the participants in the race are more or less sworn law enforcement officers. Some are attorneys, like with attorney general's offices, but it's an amazing experience. And many of us are involved in a certain stage of that race.
It's affectionately known as the world's longest foot pursuit.
But it's something.
So a little bit about Baker to Vegas, for those of you who don't know, it's a 120-mile relay race that starts roughly in Baker, California, and goes into Las Vegas. And it covers about 6,800 square miles of the Mojave Desert. If you were to drag a box around the entire race course, elevation change is somewhere around 480 feet to, what was it, 5,800 and some feet. I don't have all the numbers right in front of me, but it is quite the race. There's 20 different stages. All four of us are involved. We're all working different stages. I'm going to be working on the medical radio network. KK6DA, you're at, what stage are you at?
Stage 8.
You're at stage 8, and Dan is at stage
6.
And David W0DHG is going to be at stage 9. So we're going to be scattered throughout the course. The gateway is going to be run by me. It's going to be at one of the repeater sites for the Medical Radio Network, and we're going to have all 4 of these bands. We're only going to run one band at a time. There's going to be a schedule. I've got a rough draft of it posted up on WaveTalkers, but we'll have the specific frequencies and what to do and how to participate throughout the time. We just got through just got notified back on Friday, so we're in the last kind of quick runs to try and get everything up and running for that. So with that in mind, that's part of this whole reboot as well, because we want as many people to participate in this event as we can. So let me pull these guys down real quick, remove spotlight so we can get a full view of what's going on here on this screen. So with that, we'd like folks who already have Winlink set up to go ahead and send us in a check-in. Send it to all 4 of us, all 4 of our call signs, KK60A, W0DHG, NR6V, and W6AH. And today we'd also like you to add in a tactical call sign and send in, just add the tactical call sign WaveTalkers to that. And you do that by just simply adding a semicolon at the end and just adding in WaveTalkers. It's all one word. There is an S on the end, so just add that in. And we're going to slowly work on transitioning over to that. In the comment section of that check-in form, let us know which Winlink modes you're currently set up for. Telnet, Packet, Vara FM, Vara HF, Mesh, Pactor, or hey, I'm new to Winlink, I'm just learning this. Let us know that, and you will be able to send your Winlink check-in at the end of today, at least via Telnet, if nothing else. So let me step through that process really quickly here. Let me make sure I've got my my other computer here booted up. I'm going to switch over to this, and we'll rewind back to the very beginning and do the complete setup. But I want to just make sure everybody can do the check-in here real quick. So if you already have Winlink set up, of course, just go ahead and create a new message, and you can put it to all 4 of us and the tactical call. Hit the select message button, come up here to standard templates, go ahead and click on that. You can come down here to this mapping GIS forms. The Winlink team has done an amazing job of getting this up and running. And what you're looking for is this Winlink check-in. Just go ahead and select that, double click it. And if the demo gods are with you, it should open up your web browser and it should bring you to this form. In the send to, this is where you can put all 4 of our call signs separated with semicolons, and also add that WaveTalkers call sign. Date, time, you can say this is a exercise. Let us know what band you're coming in on, how the mode that you're sending this in. Be sure to add in your call sign, your station contact name, that would be your name in there. Station call sign, that would be your call sign again. Your location, and then plug in your lat long, or if you've got a GPS connected, that should automatically get populated. Down here is where you would answer the question about what modes you are currently set up for. And then you just hit submit and send that.
Chris, before you do that, would you explain how you added Ventura County ACS areas to the header on that form?
Yeah, so Ventura County, so if you come up here and you do the setup option, you can go through and you can step through a couple of options. So this is something I check in every week through our Ventura County Aries and ACS team, and we send our check-ins to a real world email address. And so that's how I went ahead and set that up. You can just use that little setup button that's right up there at the top and get that set. So you do that, you hit the little submit button down at the bottom, and then it's going to send. You would need to then just post to Outbox and then do your regular send. So we're going to step through that process again after we get the gateways, or after we get the Winlink station set up. So let me come back over to the slides here. We're going to advance a little bit further. So let's dive into this up and running with Winlink, and let's kind of walk through what we're going to cover in order to do this. So we're going to do just a very quick overview. If you want a more in-depth overview, you can go back and watch episodes 1, 2, 3, and 4, where we go into a lot more detail on all of these steps. But we'll give you a quick kind of overview to get you up and running and started if you're completely new to Winlink. We'll do an install of Winlink Express, SoundModem, and Vara FM. We're going to configure Winlink, and we're going to send a message via Telnet. That's kind of a really fast get up and running, get you ready to go and able to participate. Then we're going to configure our radio to computer interface. In this case, we're going to be using a signal link, connecting it to Windows, and we're going to be using Windows 10 in this one. Although we do know that this does work just fine in Windows 11 as well. The station that you just saw me doing the check-in form on, that is a Windows 11. That's actually running on a virtual machine as well, running on a Mac, and it works just fine with that. We're going to step through configuring SoundModem, and we're going to test that with an APRS frequency to make sure that that connection is working properly. Then we'll go through and we're going to configure Vara FM and Winlink, and we're going to optimize those settings. And then we're going to send Winlink emails via Packet and Vara FM. So it's going to be a busy hour, and we're going to attempt to do this all within about the next 50 minutes-ish or so.
What a bet.
So the next thing that I want to kind of mention is this whole setup, my radio, the Windows PC are all running on emergency power, being backed up by PowerFilm solar panels. These are 60-watt panels. These are currently outside at my house set up, and that is coming in. So let me switch over to this is the system that we're going to be configuring. So you can see down at the bottom, there's a 30 amp hour BioNO battery, and that's what's doing all of the providing the bulk of the power. There is a Buddy Pole Power Mini, and this is currently set up. This line with the orange or with the yellow is running out to the solar panels, and so there's the power that's coming in and charging it. There's the line from the battery directly into the battery port. Then there's two ports back here. The first one is going to the Kenwood D710G, which is this black box here. And then the other load port is going to this little micro PC that I just picked up from the Amazon place. And this is what we are going to be doing all of the install on. And that is running off of that 12 volts directly off of the Buddy Pole Power Mini. These are, this is the, what's it called? The B-Link. This is the same one that Dan and David have been running, Dave Goldenberg have been running for their gateways. And so this is actually going to be the gateway for the Baker to Vegas race that we're going to configure in a couple of weeks as the gateway. So that's it. That's the whole little mini PC. This is, it's nothing special, by the way. This is running Windows 10. It's got a whopping 4 gigabytes of RAM and a little celery processor in there, an Intel chip. It's not the fastest machine in the world, but it does the job. We also have a signal link here, and we're going to be plugging that in and configuring that as well. So that's there. Let's see. So what the heck is Winlink? Winlink is just like regular email, but with more options. It allows you to send and receive email via the internet. It also allows you to send and receive email via radio, connected through your ham radio. It's been around for a number of years. It's very heavily used in emergency communications, from your local community all the way up to FEMA and international teams using Winlink to send email traffic. There are a bunch of forms to really help you get up and really facilitate the sharing of information through amateur radio and for emergency communicators. So that's kind of just a high level of what email is. And we're not going to go into all the details of like how email works, because everybody for the most part is pretty up on how email works. So let's jump just a little bit forward and let's take the idea of email. We've got this application that we're going to be installing called Winlink Express, and that's where the magic is going to be happening behind the scenes. And what you do once you write your email and you post it to your outbox, you're going to have a bunch of options as to how to send that email out, which mode to be able to send that email out. One of the modes you can, of course, use is the internet, and that would be called Telnet. We're going to do that first, and it's a great way to kind of get up and running right away with your Winlink Express, making sure that all of your settings are correct, your call sign is in there properly, and so forth. And you're able to send that message out through the internet. The connection to the internet, though, actually runs to what's called an RMS gateway. This is kind of like an email server. Well, not kind of like, it is an email server that is then processing the mail, but it's actually a network of a bunch of these that are all interconnected. The magic voodoo behind the scenes is how that goes in. The Winlink team could talk more about that, but let's just say it's going to go out to an RMS gateway, and then that message is going to be able to be spread around. There's multiple of these things, and they can all be connected through the internet, but they can also be connected directly via RF, directly through radio frequencies. And so they're able to communicate. So it's a very robust system to be able to send and receive messages, digital traffic. A lot of people ask, well, why not just use voice? I mean, I've got my HT, I can show up and I can be on the air very quickly. Yeah, you can. But if you're in a disaster, let's say you're located at a hospital and you've got to send them a list of medications, you could be there till the heat death of the universe trying to call up, line 1, Oxycontin, I spell Oscar. You don't want to have to do that. So you can have that information typed down, send it via essentially an email. It goes really fast. Now, one of the things that you want to keep in mind is, as emergency communicators, you always want to use the best and the fastest form of communication that you have available to you at the time, which is why we start off with Telnet, because if you have internet available to you, great, use it. By all means. Let's say you have just your cell phone and you've got it set up as a hotspot, the cell service is still working. Use that as the first line of communication for getting those messages out. Then if your cell phone dies, if the towers go down, if whatever happens and you need to switch over to the next level down, you're able to do that, and the system will be very robust to be able to support that. So you can also take your Winlink application, take your computer, and you can connect it directly to your radio, and you can send those messages out to an RMS gateway. So you get multiple options of being able to do this, either through the internet or through RF. And then the gateways also can use the internet and RF to communicate with each other. And that's what creates this really robust setup. So let's fast forward and talk a little bit about this connection between your radio and Winlink Express. You need some kind of an interface to be able to connect your radio into your computer. Now, some radios do have USB connections that you can go directly from the radio straight into the computer. For a lot of other radios, you're going to need to use something like a signal link or some type of interface that you would use. And this just connects one port here into the radio, and then it's got a USB port so it can connect into the computer. And so we're going to be doing that here in just a little while. There are some other options out there of different boards or different interfaces that you can use. We have been using the signal links now for several years. We find them to be pretty much bulletproof at this point. They work with pretty much every radio that's out there on the market. And so being able to get one of these and configure it so that it will work with your particular radio and your computer is really pretty straightforward to be able to do. There's two ways that you configure. Well, there's three ways that you configure your signaling. The first is that you need to have a custom cable. Now, you can either make these yourself or you can buy them pre-made. I decided to buy a pre-made one. And so on the back of my radio, I've got a data port that's back here. And so this cable just is plugged into the data port. And then the other end of it has just an RJ45. So you can take that and you can plug it right into the back of the signal link so that the signal link will talk to your radio. You need to tell the signal link what radio you have, though, and how to talk to your specific radio. And there's two ways of doing that. One way is you could buy one of these little chips. You take the front of the signal link's got these 4 little screws on it. You take the screws out. It comes with a tool. It's a good idea to just go ahead and tape the tool to the bottom of the signal link so that you always have it. And you open this up, and there's a board inside that you can either insert the chip that's for your radio, or you can use the jumpers that are included. There's a bunch of little wires, and you can plug those in for your specific radio. I think Dan, let me bring you up on screen. Dan has a signal link that is already open. Let me go ahead and replace the spotlight here so you can see him. This is what the inside of the signal link is. Dan, you want to tell us what you've got there?
Yeah, you can see the yellow jumpers. And what those are is they're simply connecting the function in your radio to the function in the signal link. In other words, the microphone from your radio gets mapped to the microphone connector in signal link. And so one of the reasons we like the signal link is because it's pretty much infinitely configurable for virtually any radio. And so by having the jumpers that you can map, is the term they use, from the mic in your radio to the mic input on the signal link, the speaker. Now, in some cases, you have to use the speaker jack on the back of your radio if there is not a speaker connection in your data or microphone jack. But speaker, mic, push to talk, and ground are the 4 that are typically mapped. And here's another one that I have. See if it will focus, with a different mapping configuration. But you can see on the labeling there, you can see where it says speaker, mic, push to talk, and ground. And you're simply making a connection between your radio and the signal link, which allows, like I say, pretty much an infinite selection of radios, just about anything. The hardest part I find is on some radios is finding out what the pins on the radio go to, particularly the Chinese radios. They don't like to tell you that. I've even written the manufacturers and asked them for their microphone jack pin outs, and they either don't understand or aren't willing to give me that info. And in which case you have to either rely on the internet, and I found some good and some bad information on the net, or experiment. And I've done that pretty successfully as well.
So once you get your signal link wired up and configured, and you can go on to WaveTalkers, we've got a couple of videos, really short videos that walk you through that part of the configuration. Now you have your radio and your signal link, and you're going to connect that signal link directly into your computer via USB port. And I've got that set up here now. You can see the blue cable right here, and then this is the other end of it. And you just literally just plug it into your, plug it into the signal link. It should power it up so that it's ready to go. Your Windows PC should, if the demo gods are with you, it should automatically just see the signal link and it'll dynamically load the drivers. We're going to go into what those settings look like here in just a second. But let's go back over to the slides here, and let's talk about the rest of the flow that goes now from the radio, the signal link into the USB port. The next thing you'll have to check is the sound control panel inside of Windows to make sure that the signal link is being seen properly, make sure everything is kind of being set up and ready to go. Your sound control panel will then talk to your TNC, which is going to be in the case of if you're running Packet, it's going to be we're going to use SoundModem by UZ7HO. This is free software. We'll show you where to get this, where to download, and how to configure it. And then you would also use instead of UZ7HO, if you're sending Vara, you would have a Vara FM, which is basically just a faster version. It's another protocol, and it works really nicely. And we're going to step through that as well here in just a few minutes. Your SoundModem TNC is then going to simply talk to Winlink Express. And so you need to do little configurations for each of these different software packages in order to get all of the settings so that everything is just ready to go and it talks beautifully. Now, if you've ever called help desk for tech support, or one of the first questions that they almost always ask you is it plugged in? And that is both the physical connections between the radio, the signal link, and the computer, but also these virtual connections. Is everything connected along the way properly so that it's virtually plugged in from one piece of the signal chain to the next? And that's where most people kind of get hung up, and that's what we're going to step through, making sure that all of that is working for you today. Let me see, did I have anything else on here? No, that's the end of that. So now let's just dive in and just do this. So if you go on to WaveTalkers and you go up to let's see, which computer am I on? I'm on this computer here. You go up to the resources section, you'll find a link for Winlink. And inside of there, we have it'll take you to this page here. And if you scroll down, we've got all the previous classes that we've been doing for getting you up and running with Winlink. And then there's these detailed walkthroughs for how to install and get all of these different components configured. So these are short videos. Many of them are just 1 to 3 minutes long, and they walk you through that. And then there's links for each step where you can go and find all of the downloads and information. There's also some quick start guides that you can get in here, and you can follow along step by step if you need a little more help running through those. Where these are going to point you to are 3 websites. The first one is to winlink.org. This is the main website where you're going to want to go and get your copy of Winlink, the software application. Now, Winlink only runs on Windows. There are some alternative open source tools that are built on some other platforms, but primarily Winlink is going to run on Windows, and we really suggest you run it on Windows because you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck there. So in order to get the download, just come on down just a little bit, and here on the right hand side, get Winlink Express. It's a free download. You just go ahead and click that, and you scroll down again, and there's the download for whatever the current shipping production version of Winlink is. You just click that, and what it's going to do is it's going to download a zip file. This is like a cooking show. I've already downloaded it, so we don't have to wait for my slow internet connection. And so we'll step through those over there. The next piece of software you're going to want to download is SoundModem by UZ7HO. You can just there's a link on the WaveTalkers page for SoundModem, and it'll take you directly to this page, or you can just do a Google search for it and search for SoundModem space UZ7HO, and it'll take you right here. This page, if you scroll down on the page, there is a download section down here, and the file that you want is this one right here. SoundModem, the current version is 113.zip. Just go ahead and click on that, download that zip file to your PC. You'll have that ready to go. We'll step through that install in just a few minutes. And
we might just say some people will be a little intimidated because sometimes the Windows Defender program comes up with a warning message that this is not good. Please understand it's A-OK. It works well for tens of thousands of people. So just work around that and download as Chris has explained.
Yeah. And I do see a question in the Zoom chat. Can I do this without connecting to a physical radio? Yes, absolutely. We don't have to have the physical radio connection yet at all in order to use Winlink in the telnet mode. So absolutely it works. In fact, that's how I mostly use Winlink, because I mostly do it via telnet, and then I do weekly practices to make sure it's connected to my radio, make sure everything else is running at that point. So absolutely you can do this without connecting to your radio. What you do have to have is you have to have a call sign, a valid call sign, in order to get your Winlink account. So, okay, so this is SoundModem UZ7HO. The third piece of software that we want you to get is Vara. And again, on the WaveTalkers page, when you find the link for Vara, one of the little tiles that's there, it'll take you directly to here. You can also search for Vara. And then the call sign of Jose, is that his name, right, David?
Yes, Jose.
His call sign is Echo Alpha 5 Hotel Victor Kilo. So you can search for his call sign and Vara, or you can just search for Vara FM. You'll find this. It's linked on the WaveTalkers page. And there's one critical one that you want to make sure that you get, and that is Vara FM. The current version is 4.2.2, and this is for FM transceivers. This is the one that we're going to use today, but you may also want to download while you're there Vara HF. This is for HF communication. It uses a slightly different protocol, but still is going to work. You can download that. And then I've also downloaded the Vara Chat, which is a real-time chat protocol over Vara. Today, the only one we're going to do is the Vara FM, because we're going to be doing a setup for FM on VHF. So make sure you download that. And through the magic of editing, well, look at that. I've got a downloads folder where I have all of these files already downloaded. So the first thing you want to do, let's get Winlink installed. You would do that by simply right-clicking on this, and you can say extract all, and it's going to unpack that zip file. And for the Winlink one, you can just do it right in your downloads folder to be able to get it unpacked, because there's an installer. I went ahead and already did that step. I did mention that this is not the fastest little PC in the world. The unzipping process actually takes a pretty good long time.
I thought that was very fast.
It was very fast because I just, it's done. It's super fast.
Yeah.
So here's the Winlink installer. I'm going to just go ahead and double click that. And it's going to do this like kind of standard, hey, Windows is saying, hey, be careful about this. You want to do this? Yes, I want to do this. And it brings that up. It's going to ask you where do you want to install this? Put this right in the root of your C drive. So the default location should be C:/RMS Express. Now, that's the first question everybody asks about, right? I just downloaded Winlink and it's calling this thing RMS Express. Well, it goes between some old naming conventions and some new naming conventions. But the application, that the folder that's going to be installed, is called RMS Express. So we're going to put that right in the root of our C drive. We're just going to say next. And yeah, go ahead and create that RMS Express. I do like to have it create a desktop shortcut for me because it makes it a little bit easier to get in there and do that. We'll go ahead and hit the next button again and say, yeah, go ahead and do that installation. And if the demo gods are with us, once again, we will get Winlink installed. There we go. And we can launch Winlink Express right there, ready to go. I'm going to skip that part for right now. I'm just going to uncheck that and say finish, because I'm going to go ahead and get the other applications installed since we're already here inside of the installer. So I'm just going to go back up a directory level. The next one we're going to do is SoundModem. Now for SoundModem, what you want to do is you got to do a little bit of a manual install here. Come over to your C drive and just go ahead and right click in the root of your C drive, make a new folder and call this SoundModem. Make sure I've got the right keyboard selected. Just call that SoundModem. And I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to come back to my installer. I'm going to right click on SoundModem's zip file and say extract all. And now it's going to ask me, where do you want to unzip this to? Now you just want to hit the browse button and just go to your C drive, go find that SoundModem folder you just created. I'm going to go ahead and go into that, and it's right there. We'll say select folder and say extract, and it does the little extraction thing. It's going into that SoundModem folder. They don't call it the worldwide wait for nothing.
One of the reasons Chris has done it this way is that there are times down the line in the Winlink setup and down the line in using it where you may need to find SoundModem or Vara FM or Winlink, or particularly if you're asking somebody for help, it's nice to know where it is. And by doing it this way, it's very easy to find. It's all in your C drive.
So now that SoundModem is installed, you can see it just created this exe file. It just opened that up inside of my Windows Explorer. The first thing that I like to do is because I have a machine that's just dedicated to emergency communications, I'm not using this machine for anything else. So I like to keep it nice and clean and only have the tools set up the way that I need to use them and have them in the order that I want to use them in. So now that SoundModem is installed, I like to come up here and right click on soundmodem.exe. And I like to pin that to my taskbar, and you'll see it appears right down here. So these are going to line up the icons in the order in which I'm likely to be able to need them. So there's SoundModem, that's down there. I'll also put a copy of it on my desktop. So I'll right click on it again and ask it to create me a shortcut, and then just drag that shortcut out to my desktop so that I have that ready to go. It's just another place that I can get to it nice and easy. We're going to go into SoundModem in just a few minutes. The last one for us to do is Vara FM. We're going to do the installer for that. Again, you would just take Vara FM, right click on it. This is the zip file that you downloaded, and you would go ahead and just extract all. You can do that right to the default directory inside of your downloads folder or wherever you've got it downloaded to. And it's going to create this folder called Vara FM. The one that I got is version 4.2.2 setup. Just go ahead and go into that. This is one you want to make sure you run as an administrator. So you do that by, well, first of all, you got to be administrator on your computer. And so hopefully you are at your own computer. You're going to right click on this installer and just this top option here, run as administrator. Just go ahead and select that. And yep, go ahead and do that. We're going to step through and say, okay, it's going to bring up this welcome to Vara FM setup. Go ahead. Yes, I accept the agreement. They can have the firstborn. You messed that one up anyway. Let's go to the next. Here it's going to ask you, where do you want to install Vara FM? You're going to put this right in the root of your C drive. So again, it's going to be C:\Vara FM. We'll go right there. We'll go ahead and say next. That's the default.
Then you know where it is.
Yeah. And it does prompt you. Do you want to create a desktop icon? Yes, please create me a desktop icon. Go ahead and do that. And there it goes. Does that says hit the install button. And that one went pretty smoothly. So we'll go ahead and say okay on that. And we don't want to launch this quite yet. We're going to launch these in an order. So I'm going to uncheck that guy and say finish. Now I can close these windows because I've got everything installed that I need to install. Let's come over here, Vara FM. I'm going to right click on that and I'm going to ask it to pin this one to my taskbar. So now I've got SoundModem, then I've got my Vara FM, and now I'll come up here for Winlink Express, right click on that and say pin to my taskbar. Now I have the order of the applications that I want to launch these in to make sure everything is working.
Cool.
That make things nice and easy for us. All right, so we're actually going to start next. The next step is to make sure that you have Winlink Express configured properly and set up. So we're going to go ahead and just jump into Winlink Express. So go ahead and launch Winlink Express. Just double click it.
Let me ask a newbie question while you're doing that.
Sure.
So do you use SoundModem and Vara at the same time for the same purposes?
I use Vara and SoundModem at the same time for different purposes.
Right. And what are those different purposes?
So SoundModem is talking via packet, and Vara is talking via the Vara protocol. And so you can send, so for instance, a lot of times I will jump back and forth depending on the mode of communication that I need to use. I also use SoundModem as part of my APRS setup, which we're actually going to use as part of checking to make sure that SoundModem is working properly. Kind of in a nutshell, it's kind of a high.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Okay, so when you first launch Winlink for the first time, you're presented with this Winlink Express properties window. And this is where you need to go in and enter in a little bit of information. You don't have to add a lot of information, but you do have to add a little bit. So the first thing you have to do is put your call sign up here. So I'm going to say my call sign is W6AH. You're going to enter in your password. And this is a quiz. Now I'm going to have to remember which of the passwords that I used for this. Believe it's that. If this is the very first time that you're setting up Winlink, you'll enter in a password and it's going to create your Winlink account for you at that point. So, so if you already have a Winlink account, let's say you're moving to another system, you want to use that same password that you've already configured on your Winlink for. If you need a call sign suffix, you could enter that here. We're not going to do that. You need to add a password recovery email. Now, this is an email address that you can always get back to. And as soon as I clicked on that, notice it recognized my password. It logged me in the background, and it just went in and filled in a bunch of information because I've previously gone in and done this. I've already set up and I have a Winlink account up and running on some of my other systems. Otherwise, you want to put in your password recovery email. You'll need to enter in your grid square, and there's a lot of different ways that you can find what your grid square is. I use an app on my phone. Let me switch over to that real quick and show you. I've got my phone here. This is an iPhone. I'm using a program called Ham Square. It's a free app you can download from the App Store. There's a lot of varieties out there, a lot of options out there for Windows or for Android as well. But I'll just tap on Ham Square. It uses the GPS in your device, and it comes up and it calculates what your location is, and it tells you what your grid square is right there. And there's also some online tools. We've got links to those on the WaveTalkers website that you can get to. All right, so you need to have your grid square plugged in. If you buy if you support Winlink and you buy a registration key, you would enter that in right here. That will end up being tied to your call sign and to your password. I'll go back later and enter that in. You don't have to have it in order to get set up initially. For public service codes or for service codes, the default here is to do public, and that's going to be accessing any of the gateways that are tagged as a public gateway. You may also want to add in, if you're doing emergency communications, you may also want to add in space MCOM so that you can get a listing of the gateways that are targeting MCOM users. So that would be both of those there. Over on the right, you would fill in all of your contact information. All that's optional, but you can fill that in right there. Down here in the bottom, because we're doing all of the check-in stuff, and this is a really good idea, especially if you're starting to use Winlink over RF or you're using it over the radio, it's a really good idea to check this first box, display list of pending incoming messages prior to download. That gives you the choice of which messages that you want to download. If you do not have this checked, then when you hit the go ahead and check my email, it's going to go in and it's going to try and download everything that's there. And if you're in an emergency communication situation where you're trying to limit the your airtime, having lots of files that are downloading all the time may not be the best plan. So I like to check that right there. That's all you have to have on this first screen. So
and
again,
Chris, you should note that if you check that box and you don't download all the messages, the other ones remain on the server so you can get them later.
Oh,
so
yeah. Thank you.
All you're doing is saying, I want to look at these now. I'll look at the others later.
Thank you. So call sign, password, email address, your grid square, service codes, and then you really want to check this box here, display list of pending messages. That's all you have to have on here. It's a good idea to fill in the rest of the information as well. But I'll just hit update. And it's going to prompt you right away for your registration key. If you would like to, you can go ahead and click the link here to go on and buy a registration key. They're not very expensive. It helps support the Winlink team and the Winlink development for this, which is, I highly recommend doing that. I already have one. I'll fill it in later. And right away, Winlink has gone out and it's checked and it said, hey, I know you just downloaded this, but we already have an update to the standard forms. Anytime you get one of these pop-ups when you first launch Winlink, you want to go ahead and run that check to get all of your forms. And when you click on that, it will go ahead and it'll do the download, it'll do the install, and it'll update the forms automatically for you. So it's really pretty easy. So somebody asked, do I need to have a radio in order to use Winlink? Absolutely not. Winlink is now up and running. It's ready to go. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to send a message to Dan, NR6V, and I'm just going to come over here to the first message here, the first little icon, which is new message. It works, just like regular email. When you open that up, look at that. It even looks like an email message. You address your messages in Winlink by just typing in the call sign. So I'm going to say NR6V. Now, if I wanted to send this to both Dan and David, I would just put a semicolon here and then type in the next call sign. So I'll go ahead and put KK6DA. So I'll send it to both of them. I'll just use the tab key, jump down to the next line. If I want to send, I'll give a subject. I'll say,
send pizza.
Send pizza. Yeah, send pizza.
We're back to that.
We're back to that. For a message, please send pizza. And I'll say 73 W6 AH. And you notice there's not a send button in here. This is something that's a little bit different. Remember I said in the beginning, there's lots of options when you're sending email. This is one of them, post to outbox. That's what you want to do. You want to post this to outbox. And notice what it does is over here on the left-hand side, there's our outbox. And now we need to send this out. Now you send email with Winlink by coming up here to the open session button, and there's a drop down next to it. This is that lots of options that you have. You can send this email via any of these different modes. If you're connected to the internet, then you can just use Telnet. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and click on Telnet, and I'm going to say open session. Just click open session. It becomes not just a label, but it's also a button. It opens up this window. There's not really much to do here except for click the start button. Now, before I do that, I'm going to check my email over on my other machine.
Yeah,
I've learned this trick a few times.
There are about 60 messages waiting.
I'm going to hit start right now. So this is you're right now looking at my normal Winlink account here that I've previously set up. And so that, if the demo gods hopefully will start pulling down all of those messages. Yeah, there you go. This is everybody's check-in. So thank you very much for checking in. I don't want those messages though going into the main one here that I'm doing the demo for. So I will let that run for just a second.
So had you checked the box about previewing the downloads, you would have gotten another screen that says, do you want to really download that? And why would you want to use that? Just to underscore that again, you may be in an emergency situation where you know you're going to have 2 or 3 priority messages and everybody else is ordering lunch. And
right.
you can make those folks wait while you do the priority messages.
Yeah. So Dan, can you send me a quick email, a quick message to my call sign? It can be just very small so we can see that. But I just want to have all of that stuff all, clogged up in here. So I pre-downloaded all of those check-ins. So let me know when you send that and then I'll click the start button.
Just to confuse us, someone else who is participating has sent a Winlink message that's entitled "Send Pizza."
Oh, fun. And we do that pretty often.
Yeah.
Send pizza is a very good test message. And we do enjoy, there are several folks who check in every week and they ask for pizza, and we do respond with pizza. All right. Did you send that, Dan?
Yeah, except for I've got a million messages.
Oh, all right.
I'm having to deselect here. So
okay.
I'm up to speed. You want me to do it?
Oh, there we go. Some came in. NR6V, I got it.
Okay, good.
So here are the messages that just came in, and I see AE7HP. They sent a check-in. I don't want to receive that check-in right now on this machine, so I'm going to uncheck that one. But I will go ahead and get this message from Dan. So I'll just leave that checked. And down here at the bottom, you can just click download checked messages. Boom, I hit that. It just grabs just the email that I wanted. I'm waiting for right along in here. You'll see this little disconnect. So if the demo gods are with us, then when I close this, look at that. We have one message in here, and that is a message from Dan, and he says, "No pizza for me." Now, he did not respond to my email. David and Dan, did you guys just get the email that I sent you?
Chris?
I'll have to go back and look at the 60 some I got.
60 some you got. Okay, so that's the basics of how you send and receive an email. So at this point, if you're brand new to Winlink and you would like to check in, let's do that real quick. So all you got to do is come up here, create a new message. Come up here to this select templates. Now this is kind of going off the rails a little bit. Select template. You click the little plus here, standard templates. This is going to list a whole bunch of Winlink templates. We've got a whole episode where we go into a bunch of these that you can go in and watch. But for right now, we're going to come down here where it says mapping GIS forms. Go ahead and click that. Come down here where it says Winlink check-in. Go ahead and double click that one, Winlink check-in. It should automatically open up the browser for you. Nicely formatted. If you click the date and time, it'll automatically grab the date and time from your computer. You can say this is an exercise. I'm going to say not applicable for the mode because I'm going to send this via Telnet. You can select that right here for the band. Send to, I'm going to send this just to, oops, got to have the right keyboard here. WaveTalkers. Come down here, call signs. I'm going to put my call sign, W6AH. Station contact name, Chris. My call sign, I just go ahead and plug that in right there. I'm going to just say my home QTH right now instead of plugging in all of my address information. I'm going to leave the lat lawn in there for right now. I'm going to come down a little bit further and I'm going to say, please send pizza.
And Chris, I did get your message.
You did. Excellent.
And I did too. And I returned a reply.
Perfect. So I'm going to say,
it has good news. It has.
I'm going to say, I'm going to hit the submit button and then click the OK button. And it's kind of weird. It's like, what happened? All right. Well, this is just part of the browser. That's fine. Let me just minimize this. And right behind, here's that message that I created. Look at that. Everything is filled in automatically. There's all the information about the form that's here. Now, I didn't add the guys onto here, so I can fix that still at this point. I'll just click at the end of the 2. I'll put a semicolon, and I'm going to add their call signs, KK6DA, semicolon, and R6V. And I'll, once again, post to Outbox, open the session window, which is still set to Telnet, click the Start button. And look at that, more check-ins are coming in here. I don't want to check those on this one. I will uncheck those. And here's the message from KK6DA. I'm going to uncheck this message from AE7HP. So this is the only one that I want to get right now.
It's good news.
Download this checked message. And it comes in. I can close this window after I get the disconnect. You got to look for that disconnect button, or the disconnect line. And there's the response back from KK6DA. Pizza is on order for you. Delivery in 30 minutes or less. You lucky guy. Perfect. Thank you. All right. So that's like the quick and dirty of getting up and running with just Telnet. Now let's take it to another level. The next thing that I want to do is I actually want to make sure that my signal link is plugged in, and I do have that plugged in now. I've got the USB cable, and it's plugged into the little micro PC that I've got here. And now we want to go in and we want to configure and make sure that this is talking properly to our PC. Now we do that by simply coming over here. We're going to go down to the Windows Start menu, and I'm going to type in just sound control panel. And if the demo gods are with me, it should, oh, you know what? I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to come over here. Let me close that. I'm going to come over here to my taskbar, right click on the little speaker sound and go to sound settings. That'll get me there. That's another way to get there. So it's going to take us up to our Windows settings. Scroll down in this until you get down to where you find a listing that says sound control panel. It's in the related settings section. Go ahead and click on that, and it brings up your sound control panel. Minimize these others out of the way so it's a little bit easier to tell what we're looking at here. So your sound control panel, you've got both playback and recording tabs. These are the places that we need to do some setting changes. You'll see one of the new items that when you first plug in your signal link, you'll see one come in that says speakers, and it'll probably say USB audio codec. That is your signaling. Now, I find this a little bit confusing that it's called speakers. So here's what I like to do. I like to right click on this and just say, go down to properties. And instead of calling it speakers, I like to just call this my signal link, because that makes a little bit more sense. And I'll also go ahead and change the icon. And there's not an icon here for the signal link, so I tend to just use this little box thing. It kind of looks like a little box. All right, great. We'll use that. I'll say OK, and we can apply that now. When we say OK, there we go. We got our signal link, and it's got both the name USB audio codec signal link, and it also has an icon. And we would do that also for the recording. Here it's going to be called a line in, but what you're looking for again is that USB audio codec. Right click properties on it. Let's go in here. I'm going to again call this my signal link.
I genuinely don't know the answer. Why doesn't the signal link identify itself as signal link? Instead, it identifies itself as USB audio codec.
It's probably a Windows thing.
It's probably a Windows thing.
Yeah. You just have to know that.
So I'm going to go back here to playback. And now that it's selected, we'll show you the other way to get to the properties. Just select the signal link, click on properties. We could have gone through all of these at one time. I like to kind of step through things in a set format and do everything at one step. So let's go over to levels. What you want to do here, if you see 100%, you can right click in here and change it to decibels. And then I generally, for my speakers, I drag it all the way up to 100%, 0 dB. Let's just check some of these other settings here. Enhancements, there's nothing to change there. advanced. I like to change this to 16-bit 4800 hertz DVD quality. If it's not set to that, go ahead and change it to that setting there. And I'll come over here to spatial sound. That's all fine. So we'll say okay if you need to make any changes. You also want to make sure that your signal link is not your default audio device. You may see a little green ball with a check on it next to your signal link. If you see that, what you want to do is you want to just come over to one of your built-in audio options, just right click on that, and there should be an option. Let's see, where is it? You do have to go into properties to get to
Well, no, it's because it's already your default.
It's already my default, right?
It didn't offer it to you.
Oh, if I come up here, I'll do it on this one. There you go. If you right click on another one, you can come up here and you can say set as default device. Now, the reason you want to do this is you don't want Windows just sending any random sounds out to your signal link and sending that out over the air. So you definitely want to make sure that you do not have your signal link set as the default device for Windows.
And so Windows tends to name the most recent added device as the default device. So it's likely you will find it has done that.
I'll come back up here to recording and I'll do the same thing here. If it's the default device, just set it to the default for something else. I'm going to select it, go to properties. I'm going to come up here to listen. There's nothing to change there. We'll come here to levels. Again, I right click on this, change it to decibels. And I'm going to start with my line levels all the way up. You may need to make some adjustments to these depending on your specific system. I'll come over to advanced and check that also it is set to 2-channel 16-bit 48 hertz, 48,000 hertz. This oftentimes you do need to change. It'll oftentimes default to 44,100. So we'll say okay. And now we should have our Windows now talking to our signal link. Next step is to go through and let's do SoundModem. So we're going to close this, say okay and apply if you need to. Now I'm going to open up SoundModem. Just double click it. And if the demo gods are with us, come on, demo gods.
Roll.
Thank you, Windows.
There it is. All right. So signal. So SoundModem comes up and it looks something like this. So I'm going to actually turn my radio off. So my radio is not even on at this point. If I switch over very quickly, you can see the Kenwood is off at this point. So now what we're going to do is we're going to come up here to settings, click on that and come down here to devices. And you do need to make a couple of setting changes here. So first of all, at the top of this settings window, you need to make sure that your SoundModem is listening to your signal link. And you do that right here in these top two. Just click the drop down here and you should see that USB audio codec. And since we changed the name, it makes it really easy because it just says signal link. Boom, just select it, nice and easy. Input device, click the drop down. Signal link. And again, if you didn't change the name, it would be called the USB audio codec. You select that. So that's good there. Next, we want to come down and we want to check a couple of these boxes. You want to check the box for single channel output. I like to have a color waterfall. It's nice to have. You don't have to have it in color. The waterfall would be right down here. You don't have to have it in color. I like to
why would you choose not to have it?
You're running a really slow machine like the one that we got. And I have checked, it does work just fine with that. You can also choose to stop waterfall on minimize. So when you minimize it, it reduces the amount of processing power that is being used here. So those three check boxes, you want to make sure you set those. Everything else here at the top is all good. The next section, server setup. Here you do want to make a change. So it defaults to this AGWPE on port 8000 and that's enabled. You want to change it to the KISS server port on 8100. Just check that box for enable and uncheck the top box. That's all you got to do. So remember that whole, like, you got to make sure everything is plugged in from one place to another. Even though it's virtually plugged in, you need to have what's called a port that particular applications are listening to on each different device. And you got to make sure that those all match up. So our SoundModem, which is going to be talking on packet, is going to be talking on port 8100 inside of our local computer. And
Hey,
so
Chris, we might make mention that on the WaveTalkers website, there are several documents that show this in detail.
absolutely.
Several of them authored by Oliver Kasich's OLI, who has done an outstanding job of making all of these small changes. Don't let this intimidate you. You set them and forget them. And for the most part, you don't have to do it more than the first time.
Right. And okay. And push to talk port. Oh, actually, that doesn't need to be on either. Dual push to talk. So we'll say, okay. You must restart the program for changes to take effect. Thank you very much, Windows. We'll say, okay. I'm going to close SoundModem. And I'm going to open it again. I'll just double click it. And if the demo gods are with us, SoundModem opens up. Now, how do you check if this is working? Now, this is where that APRS trick comes into play, because if you've got your radio configured so that everything is working, talking to your SoundModem, let me switch over to my radio here. I'm going to turn it on. And when I do, you can see that it's not working. Why is it not working? Did I unplug something? There it goes. I had unplugged something. You can see that this left side is set up for packet 12, which is the left side of my radio is set up for that. And I've got it on the APRS frequency of 144.390. Now, the reason that I do this is, let me go back over here to SoundModem. Look at that.
Ooh.
We are actively receiving data, because more than likely somebody in your area is putting out some APRS packets. So it's a really easy way to be able to check and make sure that you're getting data in from your SoundModem, and it's getting, or from your radio, and it's getting all the way into your computer. So now we know that we've got our USB, our connection between our radio and our signal link is correctly wired up. We know that our signal link into our computer, that USB cable, is plugged in. We know that Windows is configured properly in the sound settings, and we know that SoundModem is configured properly. And all of that data is all coming all the way in at this point. So that's perfect. Let's go over to Winlink and set up Winlink to make sure that it's ready to talk to SoundModem. Now, this is where we are definitely going to run into a problem, and I'll show you what that problem is here in just a second. So I've got my SoundModem running here in the background. You can see that. Now we're going to come up here to the top where it says Open Session, and we're going to click the little drop down here, and we're going to go to Packet Winlink. Now, when I do this, more than likely I got to click the Open Session. So we just make the selection here, then click Open Session. It opens up a session, and oftentimes you'll get a little warning here that'll say, hey, SoundModem is already running, or there's a problem, because what you want to do is you want to come up here to the Settings tab. We're going to click on Settings, and we have to set up our packet settings. So packet TNC type, we're going to click that little drop down here, and you're going to select from the list of all these different options here, you're going to select KISS. Just keep it simple, stupid. We'll just select KISS. Now for the packet TNC model, we're going to click the drop down here, and I believe this is Dan and David. This is normal, right? Yeah, just normal. Nothing too exciting here. Serial port, we'll click the drop down here, and we're going to say TCP. That's going to use like basically internal networking within our computer. And when it does that, it's going to say, okay, the TCP host port is 127.0.0.1 or 127.0.0.1. If you're familiar with networking, 127.0.0.1 is the address of your local computer. It means home. It means the place where I'm currently, the machine I'm currently running on. Remember when we set up SoundModem? And I said there's that port, and 8100 on the KISS terminal is what we set. Look at that right there. It is defaulted automatically to 8100. So that's already set correctly. Next, you need to say packet SoundModem. Where is your SoundModem application running? Click the browse button, and you just got to go navigate your computer to go find that. So if you remember, we went into our C drive, and we just created a folder called SoundModem. We'll just double click that. And there it is, soundmodem.exe. We just select it and say open. It's already configured. Now, a lot of people will configure, this is the problem that we can run into sometimes. A lot of people will configure so that when you open up your packet session, they will have this box checked so that it will automatically open up SoundModem. And that's a really good way to be able to get up and running. So if you open up Winlink Express, then you can just simply click on that, check my messages, open the session. It's going to open the session up and it's going to automatically launch SoundModem. The problem is that a lot of times you'll find that you're going to start using SoundModem for a few other applications. And if you have two copies of SoundModem open at the same time, they will conflict with each other and you will have problems. You'll notice that you'll know that you've got this problem because down here in your taskbar, you'll click on this little pop-up here and you'll see a couple of these little modems. You'll have 2 or 3 of them sometimes. And to fix the problem, just go in here, right click on each one and say close it and close all of them, and then just open the one copy of SoundModem that you need. So I like to uncheck this box so that I'm not running it.
Me too.
Yeah, it's up to you how you want to run it. That's how I've chosen to do this. TCP parameters, TX delay milliseconds. I believe we changed this to 500. Is that correct?
You don't have to. 400 is okay.
400 is okay. I tend to run it with 500. That's what's the instructions that Oliver's come in there. He's better at this. Maximum retries. I think he sets this to 3 for packet or 5. He leaves it in there. I'll leave it as 5. And I do not like having this automatic calling set up, especially if I'm running on RF. Now, if I'm connecting onto Telnet and I'm actively, working on an incident where I need to make sure I'm getting the emails right away, doing that inside of the Telnet setting is oftentimes helpful. But unless there's a definite need to do this inside of your packet session, you generally don't want to have Winlink just automatically connecting up and trying to send messages, because you always want to listen before you're sending your traffic, and it's just better operating practice.
Yeah, and you want to check enable iPoll.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Enable iPoll. Thank you very much. See, I've got these guys that have the instructions to keep me honest here to make sure I'm finding all the right settings. So we've got that. We've got our KISS terminal. We've got our packet normal, serial port TCP. Our port is 8100. We linked to SoundModem, changed our text delay, and our enable poll. And we will just hit the update button. And if the demo gods are with us,
yay,
the packet session should just reset itself, and we should be ready to go. So now we got to know, okay, who are we going to talk to? How am I going to find a station to talk to? You do that by coming up here to the channel selection. We go ahead and click on this. Now I don't see any channels here or how I would talk to somebody. Since I'm connected to the internet, I can just click this button that says update table via internet, and I'll click on that. And it takes just a few seconds. It goes out to the internet. It looks at my grid square, and it figures out from all the information that's up on winlink.org, and it figures out where are most likely the common gateways that I may be able to reach from my location. And I know from experience, I can oftentimes reach AG6AG. It tells me that his station is running on a frequency of 145.50. It's a 1200 baud connection, and tells me other information he's got as a public gateway. So I'm just going to double click AG6AG, and that information plugs in right here. It also tells me set the packet radio frequency to 145.050. So I'll come back over to my radio, and I have those frequencies programmed right here on my radio. So I can just click up a couple of runs to 145.050, and my radio is now tuned to the correct frequency. I'll also take it and turn the volume up, so I can listen for any traffic that's going on that frequency so I can hear it. Now, let's go ahead and click back over to here, and we'll just see if we can get a connection. I'll just click the start button, and if the demo gods are with us, you can hear I'm sending some traffic.
There you go.
I'll bring up the SoundModem panel also so you can see that all of the traffic is showing up right here inside of SoundModem, and I've got this traffic, this display here. So I do have an active connection, and it would be going through and it would be checking to make sure, see if I have any email that needs to be downloaded. And so I'm able to go ahead and download those messages. I'm not going to go in and completely do that at this point. I'm going to go back into doing the next setup, which is Vara. So I'm going to turn the volume down on this. Packet is a little bit slower than Vara is. So I'm going to go ahead and just close that session. And so we've got Packet up and running at this point. If we had set up an email or sent an email, it would have gone out through that form. So at this point, I don't really need to have my SoundModem running anymore. So I'll go ahead and close that at this point, because now I want to look at setting up Vara FM. And we'll do that by coming over here, and we'll just launch Vara FM. Again, it's the fastest PC in the world here. There we go. So Vara comes up, and it looks like this. Very different kind of a display. It's got a graphical display here. You can come up here to the settings section. You're going to come down here to Vara Setup. And you just need to set a couple of things in here. First of all, check this out. TCP ports. And it is set to 8300 now. Remember, SoundModem was set to 8100. And I said it's possible to run both SoundModem and Vara at the same time. And that's because they're using different ports inside of your computer. So we're going to remember that Vara is set up to port 8300. For FM system, I'm going to go ahead and change this to wide. My signal link and my radio is set up for being capable of doing wide, which would be a little bit higher throughput. But it will automatically drop down to the narrow view or the narrow format if it needs to. I'm not going to set this as a digipeater. I am going to enter in my call sign over here. W6AH, and I do have a registration key. If you register your copy of Vara, then it unlocks some faster versions of Vara that you can use, but you can use this again without registering it. So I'm just going to plug that in at that point. And I am going to check the little box here for KISS interface. Oh, no, wait a minute. No, I don't check KISS interface, right? It's just going straight from here, straight over. We don't have to do KISS for that, right? I believe. Yes. Yes.
I think that's right. That's a new box.
It's a new box. It just wasn't there before. So we're going to leave it. We're going to leave that unchecked. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to close this. And all right, so that's there. Now I'm going to come back up here to settings. And I'm going to go down to sound card. And here, once again, in the sound card settings, this is where you may need to make a couple of quick changes. Just click the drop-down menu, and there it is. That's SignalLink USB audio codec. That's our SignalLink. We'll just go ahead and select that. And notice as soon as we did, the VU meter jumped way up here. It's now listening for traffic that's going in. That's great. That's where we want it. Device output, we'll click the drop down here for that. And once again, we will select the SignalLink USB audio codec. And again, it says SignalLink because we told Windows we want this device to be called SignalLink. It really helps simplify things as we're doing this. Now, I'm going to kind of jump out of order a little bit, because normally you would want to make sure that your Winlink is set up and you know who you can connect to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, go ahead and send a ping. I want to see if I have a connection. I already know the station that I'm going to be able to connect to. I'll show you how to do that and find that information inside of Winlink in just a minute when we go over and configure Winlink. So I'm going to click on ping, and I know the station that I connect to via Vara is W6RH-10. That's his gateway. That's here in Ventura County that I know I'm able to connect with. And I know his Vara is set up on a frequency of 145.030. Here in Southern California, we call this the Autobahn. So 145.030. And I'm going to turn the volume up so I can make sure I'm listening to hear if there's any traffic that's going on before I run this test. And I don't hear any traffic right now. And I'll go ahead and click the little plug, and let's see if we have a connection.
Good.
And we do have a connection. And we can see that the connection, we've got green on our signal. We've got green on the on my side. I'm hearing him pretty well, but VU on his side, minus 40 dB, there's a problem with how my signal is being modulated. And this is where you may want to go through and do some additional tweaking. In fact, let me close this window. And I'm going to click on the other option here, this auto tune, because I want to step through this. It plugs in that same call sign I was just using, Rob W6RH-10. It says gateway. I'm going to click the little plug, and it's going to go through this calibration sequence. I'm going to turn the volume up so you can hear it. So there we go. It sent the message. It sent this calibration sequence, and it's telling me, hey, you've got a problem with your signaling. So
juice it a little.
I gotta juice it up a little bit. So here on my transmit, it's telling me that I got to turn that up more. Well, mine's already up. These are the settings that I use to kind of get started. This is all in that quick start guide that you can get started with. But I already have my signaling peaked all the way up, and I'm getting an okay connection, but it's not great. So there's another tuning step that we can do to try and fix this problem. And I want you to look one time really quickly at my radio here, and that is my Kenwood is set to high power right now. And Rob is about 20 or 30 miles away from me. But I'm going to try and let's just see, just for giggles.
Maybe you don't need high power?
I might not need high power. So I'm going to turn this down to medium power. I'm going to come back over here, and I'm going to hit the little test again. Just click the plug. And it's going to run through that sequence again. Now, I should note that I also have my squelch turned all the way down, and I just have the volume turned up on the speaker so I can hear what's going on. And I'm still getting the drive level, but notice the drive level is now at +0, and my signal and my VU is a little bit better. So the drive level came down, which means I was probably overdriving, and I'm still overdriving this signal. So let me actually try this again, but let's try this on. I'm going to make one more change. Let's drop all the way down to low power and just see what happens. So this is just pushing out 5 watts now at this point. So I'm going to run one more test here. I'm going to go ahead and click that.
This is the less is more test.
This is less is more test. And let's see what we get. See if the demo gods are with us today. Oh, last night it gave me an approved symbol when I did that. So I could do a little bit of tweaking in a few other areas, but due to propagation right now. But I am still getting a connection, a solid connection to him at low power. So I don't need to go all the way up to high power. I'll turn the volume down on this at this point and bring that up. So I'll say close. And I do have a nice solid connection. Oh, here's where I can do that. Look at that. My drive level here in Vara is set all the way up to 0. If I turn this down to -5, let me do one more of those and see if that works better. Let me turn the volume back up so we can hear it. I'll say auto tune now that I've got that turned down just a little bit, and we'll have all these up here so we can see them. So we'll say go ahead and try that one more time. Let's see if I can get that to work right. It's still in there. So I could probably tweak this a little bit more and see if I can get it to work. But you get the idea as to how that process would go. And in fact, on WaveTalkers on the Winlink page, we have a short excerpt where the guys walked me through doing this tuning step in a lot more detail in a previous episode. So we've got everything set up. Our signal link is talking. So we'll say, okay, and I'm going to leave Vara running. I'm just going to leave it over here. I'm going to come back over to Winlink, and now let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and just make a new message here real quick, and I'm going to send it to the guys. I'm going to say NR6V.
Where is my pizza?
DA, still need a pizza. Where is my pizza?
It's been 30 minutes.
And I'm going to go ahead and post that to the outbox. I'm going to come back over here to open session. I'll click the little drop down here, and I'm going to come down to Vara FM Winlink. We'll go ahead and click on that at this point and click the open session button. Now, notice it says, hey, there's already a copy of Vara running, and that's okay. I'll just move this out of the way and just say, okay, that's fine. We're going to fix that here in just a second. We're going to come back here to the settings and Vara TNC setup. Go ahead and click on that. And we're just, for the most part, we're just going to check these settings here because for the most part, it's all set correctly. Virtual host TNC address, that same 127.0.0.1. Yeah, that's our home address. So that's correct. Virtual TNC command port. Remember back here in Vara, the Vara command port was 8300, and it knows that's set correctly. The Vara FM modem, it figured that out for us. It knows the correct location where that's installed. This is that automatically launch Vara FM TNC when the session is open. I'm going to uncheck that because a lot of times I go ahead and I just open my SoundModem and I open Vara when I get set up, and so that they're already up and running. So I don't need to have Winlink open Vara for me. I'll just go ahead and uncheck that. And this is that same automatic calling thing that we already talked about. So I'll just say, okay. And there we go. That is good to go there. And let's see if I can get a connection. So now the next thing you got to do is know who are we going to talk to. So I'm going to click this little channel selection, and when we check to update the table from the internet, it actually updated this one as well. You could check it again. You can also update the table via radio if you're out and you need to do that. For a recent deployment, I used a setting that I had already saved to get my initial connection, and then I updated via the radio because I had moved locations, and I got an updated list. So I know this is the station that I can get to usually pretty well, W6RH, but then they're put in order here for the most likely ones that you're going to be able to reach from your QTH. So I'm going to just go ahead and just double click W6RH-10 and come on, there we go. And it plugs all that information in for us here, W6RH-10. And it tells us the frequency that we need to make sure that our radio is set to. My radio is already set to that 145.030. So I'm good to go there. I know everything is configured here. So I'm just going to go ahead and click the start button, and let's see if we get a connection. Turn the volume up so you can hear it.
Ah.
Go ahead and bring up my Vara. Close this. And notice these grid patterns that are going on here. You get a lot of data that's coming back to you that talks about the actual connection that you have, how well that connection is going, and so forth. Here we can see that there's a bunch more check-ins that are coming in that I could choose to get. And we should, if the demo gods are with us, we should get a little pop-up message here. Uh-oh, it looks like it's actually downloading them. Oh, nope, there we go. So I could download all of these messages one by one if I wanted to, but you know what? Right now, I don't want to download on this system. I'm going to go and download those on my other system. So I'm going to uncheck all of those and say download checked messages. I've got none selected. I could have hit the button down here, deselect all. I'll also just say download checked messages. So it's just sending that one message out via Vara FM. And I'm not actually going to receive any messages. Oh, look at there, more. I'm going to say deselect all. Download checked messages. And there we go. We got the disconnect. So Dan and David, can you check your Winlink? Did you get that? I'm still looking for my pizza message.
Yeah, let me check. Ah, sure did. Still need a pizza.
Excellent. So that was sent out via Vara FM. So at this point, we have a fully operational station. I know that took a little bit extra time. It took us an hour and a half with all of the initial setup. Apparently, I talked too much. But we now have a station that is up and running that we can send and receive emails via Winlink using Telnet, using Packet, and via Vara FM, all set up and all configured together. So with that, I do want to show one more thing. And for that one more thing, that is, I'm going to switch back over to my main system that I use all the time. And that is, I want to come up here and I want to open the session. And I'm just doing this via Telnet because it's much faster. And I'm going to download all of the rest of the check-in. So if you have not sent your check-in yet, go ahead and send us a quick check-in. Make sure you use the check-in form. And that gets all of those. Maybe hit start one more time and just do one more quick check and make sure that we got everybody.
Chris, indulge me with a question. Can you show the chevron lower right, the little up arrow? Someone has 2 incidents of Winlink running at the same time.
Oh yeah, sure. Here, let me make that problem happen on my. Let me go back over to here. I'm going to actually open SoundModem, and then I'm going to open SoundModem again.
Okay.
Oh look, the KISS port is busy. And I'm going to open SoundModem again because I just can't figure out what's going on. My SoundModem should have data coming in here, and I'm not getting any data coming in. And how do I figure that out? If I come down here, down into the taskbar, this is that little chevron, little upward pointing arrow. I can see my SoundModem. It's right there. I can click on this guy. But look,
you got 3 of them.
I got 3 of them running, and I'm not even sure which of these is the right one. So the easy way to deal with this is just go ahead and just right click on or click on each one and just close them. So I'll just keep closing these as they go down until I get rid of all of them. And then I'll just double click one time on actually, I'll do it down here from the taskbar because I haven't seen that. You can just click one time. If you do it from the taskbar, you click one time. If you double click, boom, you get 2 copies of it. Then that's oftentimes the problem. So make sure you only have 1 copy of RMS Express or Winlink running. Make sure you only have 1 copy of Vara running. And I'll go ahead and click on that so you can see that I can have Vara and SoundModem both operating at the same time. Why can we do that? Well, we can do that because SoundModem is operating on port 8100 and Vara is working on port 8300. And we've told Winlink which port to use for which type of traffic.
I just want to send out high fives to Dan, AC9JA. Because of your explanation, Chris, he has sent his first Telnet message. And Dan, I have it in my inbox.
Woo! Let me come back over to my regular, my normal PC here and start. I'm going to do one more check, make sure everybody. Oh, look at that. We've got a couple of more. AC9JA.
There's Dan. That's his first Telnet message. Bravo.
Bravo. Well done. All right. So that's in there. Now let's look at the magic that the Winlink team has actually done here. So I'm going to come over and here in the toolbar, there's lots of buttons. Go back and watch more of the previous episodes. We cover lots more of these things, but I'm going to click on this one here, this little globe icon. And I'm going to click, this is going to open up the maps and CSV KML files and forms. This one's really cool. You click the drop-down menu, and these are just messages from forms that you have received. So if you didn't send it to me, it wouldn't be in here. And so you may not have anything currently listed in your list of check-in forms if you've not received one of the forms that this supports. Back at the beginning, that form that we selected, the check-in form, that's one of these. This is that Winlink check-in form. So I'm going to go ahead and just select that. Notice I've gotten a whole bunch of these, but I don't want to see necessarily all of them. I'm going to come down here, map provider. This defaults, I think, to Bing, but I'm going to go ahead and select the map map of choice that I'm going to use. I'm going to use Google's map, so I'll just select that there. I'm just going to hit the display map button, and if the demo gods are with us, look at that. There are a bunch of pins all over the world of people who have checked in. I'm going to blow this out to full screen so we can get a little bit better view of this. Now, this is the check-ins for everybody who's ever checked into one of our sessions, but we can narrow this down and just look at today's check-ins, and we'll see how folks are doing and where they're coming in from. So I'm going to come up here to the set filters button. And now we can set display records no more than however many hours old. So if you want all the records, you set this to 0. I only want to see today. So I'm going to say, just show me about the last 4 hours, because we did have a couple of people who checked in a little bit early. Just show me all the records from the last 4 hours of folks who have checked in. And now if I can find my mouse here, there it is. Click the save button. And there it is. These are the people who have checked in. I'll zoom in a little bit and gotta right click like that. There you go. These are all the people who have checked in and sent in your Winlink check-in form. So I can just move my mouse over some of these pins, click on them, and look at that. It brings it up. So N8JBC, there you go. We got your check-in. We can come up here in, let's see, looks like Massachusetts, KB1IGT. Thank you very much for your check-in. We got check-ins from Austria over here. Look at there. There are, this looks like Germany, DG1GHR. Thank you for checking in. Here's Austria over here, a little further over. This is France, OE3FQU. Thank you very much. We've got check-ins from Idaho. There we go. N7RGS. And look at that. You can see down in the comments right here that message that had come in as part of it. Anything that was said in that message, we can track those. We also got some check-ins from our friends out in Hawaii.
Aloha.
Aloha, WH6FQQ. Thank you very much for your check-in. The other station out here, this is probably Bill, KH6UU. Aloha, thank you for checking in. They've got mesh set up. We have
Joe was asking a question, Chris. If you could just show us California stations, if you could zoom in there, I think maybe he's looking for his.
Yeah, sure. So there's a Canadian station. Let me zoom into California. So I'm going to just zoom in a little bit tighter. Now I'm driving this on a Mac using a virtual machine. There's some of the pins up in Northern California. We've got our nice little cluster down here in Southern California. I'll keep zooming into this map and see
KN6.
Where are you located in California?
Joe, are you Southern California?
Southern? Down in Southern California. So hang on, I'll zoom in a little bit tighter. And what's the call we're looking for?
PQN.
PQN. That's G6IJJ. There's Craig.
IJJ.
Let's see. Randy AC6VV.
John. We'll find you.
We'll find you. N6HGC. Is it the one over KD6ASL?
Lloyd, the green icon is Chris as net control.
There you are.
There you go.
N6PQN. It's always the last place you
go. Yay.
There you are. We got your check-in via Telnet. Nicely done. And notice when I click on it, that pin highlights and lets me know.
And if you roll over yourself, that's the green icon. What does it show?
If I click on myself, it just says, there I am. Oh, send more pizza, because I actually sent a Winlink check-in and I sent it to the call sign or to the group. So there you go.
Yeah, hats off to the Winlink development team for working so hard on this graphical user interface. It is amazingly powerful. Imagine doing a spot rep report and showing, let's say, all of these pins would have information about whether you have cell service or not, whether you have power or not. It's so powerful.
And the thing is that using the filters, if you're working in the EOC, for example, and the Department of Water and Power guy leans over your shoulder and says, show me all the places without water, you can use the filters to show only those stations. They'll mark them in an alternate color that either show they do have water or don't have water. Very, very powerful for situational awareness, which our EOCs tell us is their primary concern in most, at least in the early stages of most new incidents.
And we did an entire episode on mapping. I'd have to go back and look and see what the episode number was, where we went through this with a big exercise, and we had everybody send the messages to each other. We kind of had some impacts on the overall system, because we were sending about 2,500 messages across the system with each volley, with the number of people that we all had sending messages to each person. And that, I see a question in the chat: how do you get the forms under the global tab? You get the forms under the global tab by having a form sent to you. So here I can demonstrate that real quick. Once again, let me close this window, and I'm going to close this one. And the question just came in from Ed, KJ7DHY. So I'm going to send you a message. I'm going to go over and select a template. I'm going to use the standard template. I'm going to go to the general forms, the other place to find this one. General forms, Winlink check-in. Just go ahead and double click that. It's got all of the top bits of data here. I'm going to send it to KJ7DHY. KJ7DHY. J7DHY. Okay, I got that right. I'm going to use my call sign. I'm going to use my station contact is Chris, and my QTH. Plug that in, and I'm going to say send pizza. Submit that. Yes. Close the window, and I'm going to post that to my outbox, KJ7DHY. And I'm going to post that to the outbox, and I'm going to open my telnet session and go ahead and send that check-in to him. Look at that. We got some more coming in. South Boston, Sandy, Utah. Excellent. Thank you. Those just came in. We'll map those in just a second. And so Ed, if you can go ahead and check your Winlink, and you should get a message from me with a check-in, and then your map button, this little globe icon, should have select forms. You should be able to see Winlink check-in, and you should probably have a number of stored reports of 1.
Chris, I think what he's asking is, when you create a new message and you go to templates, I think he's asking, how do you get forms in the global folder as opposed to the standard forms folder?
And when would you use that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was reading another question that was,
okay.
It was going by
I'll explain it if you do me a favor and show it on screen.
Absolutely.
Open a new message.
Close. Open a new message.
Okay. And then click select templates.
Yes.
Okay, so what you see there are standard templates, global templates, and call sign W6AH templates. Standard templates are the ones that are distributed by the Winlink development team. And when they send out an update, it erases all forms in that folder and replaces them with new versions. If your group has a specific form that you use, but is not part of the standard forms, you would put that either in the global templates form, folder rather, or the W6AH templates folder.
And that would be your call sign, not my call sign.
Right. The reason that you would put it in global templates, if there are multiple users on your computer who log in under different call signs, then you want the form in the global folder, because everybody that logs in using that copy of Winlink will see that form. If you only want it available to you, you would put it in your call sign templates, so it's available only to you. In order to get into that form, you go into your C drive under RMS Express, and Chris will show you that. Okay, and you will see folders there for standard templates, W6AH, and up a little bit global folders. And you would just drag your form into one of those folders, in this case, templates.
And you can see I've got these ACS check-ins. So here in Ventura County, we use a custom form for our weekly net check-ins. And so I downloaded those custom forms that are created, and I just put them here inside of my global folder, in the global templates folder. And then when I'm back here in Winlink in my template manager under global templates, you can see I've got this ACS check-in. So if I was going to send an ACS check-in right now, I just double click that. It again opens up. And this is the customized, what got customized here for ours. We have our ACS ID. I can put my name in here, and then what area that I operate with. So it's a way to be able to distribute custom forms out to your users. Yeah. Also notice this, because I typed in KJ7DHY, the next time I opened up my form, it just remembered that that's who I sent the form to the last time, because I plugged it in here in the web interface. So I could delete that, and if I start to type in VC, or if I click the drop down, usually it'll put in the VC comms, the address that I plug in there. But anyway, yeah, that's the custom form that you can send through there, and that's what's inside of your templates. And I see,
and you want to make sure that custom forms are kept there, yeah, and not anywhere in standard templates, because when standard templates are updated, your custom form, if it's not in global, is going to disappear because it's not part of the standard template package.
And there are a number of forms that used to be part of the standard templates that the Winlink development team redacted because of lack of use. And they are still available on the Winlink website. And I did a video that is on WaveTalkers about how to access those and how to install those in the global folders. So it's very easy to do. Once you've done it, it's really, really quick. Also, when Chris showed his file, it had his folder, it had 3 files in the folder, but there was only 1 form listed. That's because the other 2 files are the files that make it show up in your browser. One of them is the HTML file that shows the browser. The other is a viewer that you can send along for folks that do not have the ability to view the form in their version of Winlink.
Gentlemen, there was a question early on that we sort of paused while you were installing, Chris, and it was, can I do all of this on a USB thumb drive and take it with me to whatever location I need to? Yeah. You could do that, can't you?
You can. You can. I don't have it configured that way, and part of what I'm doing with this little mini PC here. By the way, this was, what was this, like 100 and I can't remember now. It's either $120 or $150. It's not very expensive. We can put the link. We'll put the link for it up on WaveTalkers. It's called a B-Link. Is that right?
B-Link, BEELI. And one of the beauties of that is it runs natively on 12 volts.
Right.
Whereas most of your laptops run on 19. And so to run off battery, you have to get into a battery up converter of some kind. And there is a loss in that up conversion, whereas that computer runs natively on 12 volts. So
and in order to be able to share the screen, that's why I've got the HDMI cable plugged in, but you don't even need the HDMI cable plugged into this. So it would run even a little bit less power on it. You can connect to it wirelessly. But you can see that I've got just this one power cable, and it just connects via the power pole connection. I've just got a barrel connection on one side, power pole connection on the other, and it's just connected here into the Power Mini. And while we've been running for this show, it looks like we have drawn 2.7 amp hours out of the battery, and we've generated it's not the panels are not in full sun, they're just kind of hanging outside. We've generated 0.7 amp hours over that time. They're not optimized. I've got a really long cable run, but if you had the panels optimized for their position in the sun, you could pretty easily be able to power this guy off of 12 volts, no problem, and keep it up for quite a while.
We should say there are 1,000 more things we could talk about for Winlink. Yeah. And this is we've gone an hour and 50 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
And where's your pizza? And,
it hasn't arrived yet.
And Yeoman's work in trying to explain all of this in such a compact time. But these are the basics. And from here, you can go back to the WaveTalkers website and look for some of the bite-sized videos that are there. And that will help you. Otherwise, we do get very advanced in our discussion. Think about this if you're new to it, though, about the power in emergency communications that this provides. You have every form that you really essentially will ever need in an emergency situation. All the ICS forms are there. Many custom forms are there. The Winlink check-in form, spot rep reports, play around with them, take a look at them. They are amazing.
Yeah, there's a reason why Winlink has been sort of standardized in so many different, both government and non-government MCOM groups. It's because it works. It takes a little bit to get set up, but basically once you're set up, it's pretty much plug and play. And you can, with a little bit of training, you can sit somebody down in front of a computer with Winlink installed and have them receiving and sending messages. And in reality, if you've got a control operator, you can put anybody, they don't have to be a ham, you can put them in front of that computer and have them download email and take care of all of that routine stuff. So you make use of spouses and friends who want to help out but aren't hams. Just really terrific. That's why we spend so much time offering these classes because we believe in it.
Yeah. And I would like to give a shout out to all of those who are supporting us using the Buy Me a Coffee link out on WaveTalkers. The PC here and the setup that we're going to be using out at Baker to Vegas is all coming out of that. So that's where a lot of these are kind of translating to. So thank you very much for all of your support. If you find what we're doing helpful, please go on to the WaveTalkers site. You can use the Buy Me a Coffee link, and anything helps to keep all of this infrastructure up and running. Next week, we're now going to take this to the next level. We're going to focus on Vara HF, so you can send your Winlink traffic via Vara HF, because when we get the following week, we're going to be setting up that mobile portable gateway. So a little preview, you're looking at the mobile portable gateway right here, only we're going to be swapping out the VHF UHF system here for a ICOM 7300. That's my standard HF radio, And that's what we're going to be having run at Baker to Vegas for everyone to check in. We're going to have you do your check-ins, hopefully via HF on 80 meters, 40 meters, 20 meters, and 17 meters. We'll have the gateway up and running ideally for about 4 days, 3 to 4 days of time. So you'll have time to be able to check in. The check-ins are going to be, or the bands are going to be on a set schedule as to which bands and which frequencies. All that information is going to be up on WaveTalkers so that all of that is coordinated. And that whole station will be running off of solar as well. So we're going to have a completely portable gateway. We will have a connection over to the internet for being able to download via cellular connection to actually have it work as a gateway. And you will be able to, if you don't have HF capabilities, you can still play along and send in your check-ins via any of the other modes, but we're hoping people can connect to us direct through that HF gateway. So that's what's coming up over the next couple of weeks. And then we're not going to do a show the weekend of Baker to Vegas because all of us are going to be working.
Exhausted.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're going to be exhausted, and we're all going to be driving back from the desert. And so the week after Baker to Vegas, we will do a wrap-up show. We're going to map out where everybody came in from, and we'll talk about what happened at the race and all of those fun things. So, lots of those things as to what we've got. I see Steve has his hand raised. Let me go ahead and ask him to unmute him.
And Chris, we have Tammy on hold. I think we should probably do her in the after party because she's installed, but for some reason it's not working.
Okay. Yeah, we are gonna do an after party. We're gonna cut the live stream here in just a minute. For those of you who want to join us live in the Zoom sessions, go onto WaveTalkers. There's a join us link. It's down in the footer of every single page. And we send out the links every week to the session. So you're able to join us in the Zoom. We have a limited number of spaces here in the Zoom, so we don't publish that publicly, but if you join under the mailing list, you can join us here live in the Zoom session. And we always do the after party where we have a Q&A session. We hang around for a little bit of time afterwards. Steve, I think you got your mic unmuted. What's up, man?
I just had one question. Did anybody push the globe to look at what came in today on the map? I might have missed that because I am doing what I can to help Phil catch up.
We did, but I will do that again. So here I'm on my Winlink. Let me move myself down into the corner out of the way. Winlink check-ins. I'm going to hit the display map. And let me blow this out to full screen. This is just looking at the check-ins for the past 4 hours. So this is basically just during the session. We had a couple that come in a little bit earlier, and I'll zoom out so we can make sure we get the entire globe. Normally we have a check-in from New Zealand. He sent me a note yesterday. He is out on a kayak trip fishing, and so was not going to be able to check in. So we do not have our check-in from New Zealand, but we've got a couple in Hawaii, friends in Canada,
excellent,
Germany, Austria, and all across the continental US.
Isn't that impressive, Steve?
I'm sorry I missed that. I tried to keep up here, but Phil sent a bunch of patches for something that he's experimenting with that's upcoming, and I can't multitask.
Thank you for everything you do, Steve.
Yeah, thank you very much
Thank
to you and all of the folks there on the Winlink development team.
Yeah, we're just so appreciative you take the time to come and visit with us.
This was a fantastic session. This whole series has been great.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your support.
Thanks so much. Thanks.
And with that, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start shutting down the live streams at this point. If you're here inside of the Zoom, hang around. We'll do the after party. So if you're on LinkedIn, Thank you very much for joining us. If you'd like to join us on LinkedIn, follow me on LinkedIn. Just my name. You can find me, connect with me there. We live stream to there. Once we get more followers on our WaveTalkers channel on LinkedIn, by the way, we'll be able to live stream directly to the WaveTalkers channel on LinkedIn. But we got to get a few more people. If you've got a LinkedIn account, go and friend us there. And thank you very much for joining us on LinkedIn. Likewise, on Facebook, we do stream to the Facebook WaveTalkers channel, facebook.com. I think it's just /WaveTalkers or /users WaveTalkers, something like that. And so that's another place that you're able to watch us if you would like on there. So thank you very much for joining us on Facebook. I'm going to go ahead and turn that one off at this point. And we have a lot of people joining us a lot of times on YouTube that watch us both live on YouTube via the live stream. That's youtube.com/WaveTalkers. If you're watching us there, please go ahead and give us the like if you found this helpful. Subscribe to us. All that helps the algorithms on YouTube. If you're just a regular viewer who watches this as well in the live stream, check us out on Facebook or on YouTube and like and subscribe there. Those numbers really help us show up for more people. So thanks very much for joining us there out on YouTube.